Obviously save some room for me. Smart. What do you think about Tyreek saying Tua should be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league?
All good. Like, that's what you want. Team guy, recognizes the quarterback market and how much money the quarterbacks are getting paid. The sad reality, though, for Tua is that he hasn't won a playoff game. And at some point, I don't know if Steve Ross wants to commit, that's the owner of the Dolphins, $250 million to him. And I think what happens here, and I appreciate what Tyreek's saying. Tyreek has some other issues on his hand than who his quarterback's going to be because he lost a paternity test lawsuit this past week, and he's got number 11 on the way as well.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, so he does need to save some money for him, no doubt about that. But, here's the deal. I think teams like the Dolphins, who at some point are going to extend Tua, they have to. It's just a matter of how much money is it going to be and how many years is it going to be, and can they rightfully make him the highest paid guy in the league? It'd be hard to say that, they're not going to based on, each deal is more than the last deal. And I would say that acknowledging that he doesn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, but, good for him, the timing is right. The problem with that is at some point you have to prove that you are the guy. Jordan Love did that last year, right? Tua hasn't done that yet in a meaningful game. He's had these great numbers over the last year and a half in the regular season to Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and Mostert's coming off the great year, with 18 touchdowns, and we all think Mike McDaniel is the second coming of an offensive guru in the league. But at some point, it also has to equate to getting to the playoffs and then winning a playoff game. So they got to the playoffs, and you want to give them a pass because of the weather in Kansas City. I suppose you can, but are we going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league without that level of success? And the guy's name for me that becomes important here is Daniel Jones. Nobody wants to make the mistake the Giants made with Daniel Jones.
I think Tua has proved that he's that guy to the point to where are the Miami Dolphins going to go from here from a franchise quarterbacking standpoint? And first of all, let's just say, I think Tua himself, we recognize that the deal that Trevor Lawrence got is unprecedented. Nobody saw that coming because there's no justification for it. But if you put the guys side by side, statistically, Tua has more yards. Yeah. He has 23 more touchdowns and less interceptions than Trevor. But just like you say, he hasn't won a playoff game. And if you want to make the Kansas City game a crutch because of the weather, then so be it. But from a Dolphins standpoint, for Tua, there aren't that many franchise quarterbacks out there.
Which is why it will get done. It's a matter of when it gets
done. If you can extend Baker and if you can extend Trevor Lawrence, you can definitely extend Tua.
By the way, part of this is on Tua. I'd be shocked if they haven't had conversations with numbers involved, salary numbers and guarantees and all that. But if I'm Tua's representative, I'm doing what every other good agent's going to do. Well, give me more than the last guy got. Whatever that number is, give me more guaranteed money. And you see some of the contracts there in regards to the highest paid guys. That's based on the annual salary, AAV, not the guarantee, which is a more important number, obviously. But if I'm Tua, I'm saying to myself, well, Trevor Lawrence hasn't done all that much. And nobody credits him with that one playoff win against the Chargers. Look, Burrow's been to a Super Bowl, been to AFC Championship games. I respect that. Goff's been to 2 Super Bowls now. Kind of got to respect that. What's Justin Herbert ever done? Nothing. He hadn't won a playoff game. Right? Matter of fact, he lost the playoff game out of Jacksonville. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. Jalen Hurts been to a Super Bowl. So to me, again, it comes down to he plays the position where if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're desperate to get one. And as much as I think Tua's arm is somewhat suspect, the reality is this. If he were an unrestricted free agent, there would be 20 teams in line to talk to him, to bring him in to be their franchise quarterback. But remember this, and you folks down in Miami should remember this. When Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, all right, there was a guy he wanted to draft, and his name was not Tua. Quite famously, he hated Tua. He bullied Tua, all right? He hazed Tua during minicamp. The guy that Brian Flores wanted the Dolphins to sign that year or draft that year was actually Jordan Love. Imagine how much differently things would be now. Or what if the Dolphins took Herbert when they could have? Imagine the conversation we're having now if one of those two guys was the Dolphins quarterback.
So, Craig, I have a question for you because there's another quarterback comparison I want to make here with Tua, which is Brock Purdy. Obviously, they have completely different reputations coming out of college, but there's offensive guru, head coach, right? Great weapons outside and behind him in the backfield. Do you think that Tua suffers a little bit from this, system quarterback? It's the coaching, it's the weapons, he's got it all.
No, because here's the difference. Let's say we make all the same arguments that Tua is a product of having Waddle and Hill, right? And most of them coming off that great year. And he's a product of having a genius on the sideline. Well, Brock Purdy, like you say, he's got the same exact thing. But here's the difference. Brock Purdy wins. Period. Stop. Fair. Now, you can argue that San Fran's defense is better than Miami's.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'd all agree to that.
Of course.
I think their offensive line is also better.
Oh, yeah.
And you have maybe the best left tackle of the last 20 years in football in Trent Williams. But at the end of the day, Brock Purdy wins with the talent he's got and goes to NFC Championship games and goes to a Super Bowl. And Tua's like the hot prom date that doesn't put out.
Oh,
right? Oh, it looks so good. Look how hot she is. But you're not getting nothing.
You know what?
So what's the point?
Hey, the Miami Dolphins have botched this whole quarterback situation 20-some years ago when they had the chance to sign Drew Brees, and Drew Brees leaves San Diego. He goes to the Miami Dolphins, and the doctor fails him on the physical.
That's right.
And says
on
that
the shoulder,
his
right?
shoulder is no good. And look at Drew Brees today, one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of franchises out there. We say it all the time. The Chicago Bears chasing the ghost of Sid Luckman.
Wow.
The New York Jets chasing the ghost of Joe Namath. And the Miami Dolphins chasing the ghost of Dan Marino since the 1980s. And that's those three franchises just don't get quarterbacks. And then you have the Green Bay Packers who own all the quarterbacks. Pisses me off. Hey there, thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.